Welcome to the Time Capsule Show, where we explore the meaning of life in the 21st century through the eyes of people just like you and me. I'm Joerenz, and today we have information systems and data analyst Himanish Goel. Welcome, Himanish.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. So, can you tell me a little more about your job in information systems? I always heard about that in college, like different classes in there, like sort of, is that like IT and all that? What exactly goes into this?
Yeah, so information systems is kind of the middleman of how you like to describe broadening your skills in the IT field. So you have computer engineers, you have computer science majors, but information systems is not so heavy on coding or the artificial intelligence or understanding the machine learning and like different programming languages. It's mostly in you're understanding the business of how does the industries run and getting exposed to the development, to the analytics side, the infrastructure, the project management, agile piece, trying to think of other words, the auditing, pretty much all scales of the IT field. So you're not stuck into one position. You could be going to project management, to scrum master, to like a business analyst, a software engineer, cybersecurity. There's like plethora of options. So it gives you a sense to kind of see yourself broadening that skill set. So that's why you see a lot of folks who do information systems majors. They'll start as developers, but go into different fields because of which interests them, because people can see them in that view.
Wow, that's really cool. And so what exactly do you do within that sort of broad spectrum? What do you hyper focus on?
So I mostly focus on with my information systems degree around the analytics and infrastructure and security side, because that's what interests me the most, just looking at the trends of data and also how to how to secure the systems from having outside threats to companies or organizations so that they can have their data secure. And whether it's using visualization software platforms to anywhere like a Wireshark of some sort.
Okay, so this is a little more like cybersecurity, like defending from any maybe hackers or sort of any malware from coming in.
Yeah, and like the showing the trends of a certain product or just the data wise and like of the business perspective, like the analytical thinking and mindset.
Huh, that's really interesting. So I would bet that, yeah, you definitely have to, for like this kind of field, I would imagine you really need to have like a hyper focused mind on analytics. You really need to be very, what's the word for it? Like right brained, I think, like the more logical side of things.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that. On my LinkedIn, I put two posts which are pretty different. One was what type of a minds, what what mindset do you think on, like the right side or the left side? And so that was like it's kind of coming down to the same thing where there are four types of relationships where there's the analysts, there's the sentinels, the diplomats, and the explorers. Wow, I got all of them four right. But those four, they all have their own, like those are the four ways of understanding how does that person function. Analysts are the more logical thinkers. Diplomats are the ones who are like the politicians getting their voice out. The sentinels are more like the executives, goal achieving pretty much. And the explorers are more of like the artists, the one who like to create their craft. And those are the ones who end up being like the entertainers, the musicians, more in like the artsy. And it can be used in any form you'd like to say it as. So.
Hmm. It's so interesting. That's like, that reminds me of like those personality tests. Like I think like the Myers-Briggs.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's definitely like that. And that personality thing, that those are two different LinkedIn posts that I have on my profile. So
Super. So, what inspired you to want to enter this career? Did you always find you always had like, that more logical side of yourself was leaning out to you, and then that made that something just transpired to make you want to go into like information systems and cybersecurity and all that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the best choices are the ones that you're not sure about. When I was in my high school, when I was in my high school career, I didn't know where I kind of see myself fit because I was not very focused into a specific area. But one thing I did know was how to understand people's um, mindset, like kind of what businesses do, developing those relationships for a longer term use. And so I use that thinking, that strategical thinking, and like my spirituality and meditation experience to kind of helping me feel at ease and like under and have my vision kind of centered towards what I'm really focused towards into more the business perspective. I was not someone who wanted to just be a developer. Don't get me wrong, I do like the whole working with software applications and whatnot, but I just couldn't see myself doing that as like a day job, because I'd been exposed to that a lot. You get exposed to that type of a field a lot when you're in your school years, so that's something that was something I wanted to like kind of back away from. But have a good skill set on that. I didn't want to be too computer science, too much into the computer science field where you're having to play with different types of languages and understand the artificial intelligence, even though it's extremely cool. I just wanted to have a broad range of skills, and that's something I've always done. From when I was born to where I am now, I've always done different things to keep myself at the top of the moment, like on the toes. So whether it was building Legos to kind of figure out the pieces or like map out the picture, to even creating my own photographs and um, expressing my art. So I've always tried new things, and I felt like business information systems was the best way to go with that because it helps you show that you at least have a good understanding of like 5% of the fields. It's like, would you rather have a meal, like a one course main meal, or would you have like different um, options to choose from and like eat around that? So that's just like a metaphor kind of.
Hmm. That's so interesting. And yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Like, especially you want to build up all those different skills and have sort of a wide skill range. And like, let's say, I mean, like, God forbid, something like the pandemic happens. If you fall out of one skill, you have all these other skills to sort of save you that you can use in your work.
Yep, that is definitely true. Right on point.
So let's say you were not doing information systems, not doing cybersecurity, and you were doing a completely different path. What do you think that path would be, and why do you think you'd be doing it?
If I was not doing the technology or cybersecurity, I think I would mostly go around. I think I would be doing the design piece, because in today's world, as necessary technology, business, the engineering, the health, as important these fields are in our day-to-day life, the design is something that helps attract the user's eye at one moment. There's a saying that one picture means like 1,000 words. And so no matter what type of design a company or organization is making, they want it to feel like it's user friendly. There's a story behind that personal experience. Let's just take like the Apple Watch for an example. No one thought that would be the future of medical devices, but just the design of it kind of, it was like you don't know at the first sight of moment. It's some design is something that's constantly evolving. So as human evolve, they look at that product or the design for it in a different way. So that's something that really I think would be my next move if I didn't go into the technology sector of cybersecurity. So because I would be playing around with tools like Figma and kind of like brainstorming using the human centered design approach, kind of understanding the agile piece of it. In terms of like figure out what the next steps, what would be the next steps to take in that methodology.
Okay, so this would be something like UI, UX kind of things.
Yeah, UI, UX, product design, um, UX researcher, all those roles.
And second thing, you said for a second Apple Watches in medicine, that's a thing? I had no idea.
So, like, if you look at a couple of the trailers, there's one video where they had, I think, four different stories from different backgrounds where they were explaining how the Apple Watch literally helped them save their life. They would, they would have never they would never know about that if the watch did not alert them. That simple watch, and this is like Apple Watch Series 4 or 5. We're talking. I think it's the fourth one. So like literally, there was a scene where the dad and the son and his dad were the son was really active in sports, and all of a sudden
Mhm.
he started feeling really dizzy and just not in the moment. And so the Apple Watch kept saying your heart rate's increasing. And so they took him to the hospital, and the doctors went from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and they moved him from that bed
Wow.
to all the way to like the emergency. And it said, and the doctor said, if you did not come in like a day or two, the matter would have got worse. And this was just one story. There was one where there was a woman that was pregnant, and there was a truck that hit them really. There was a truck that hit the car at the red light really
Mhm.
hard, and she literally said, "Siri, call 911." And right then, everyone's just starting to come. So it's like, and even for like this, there was an individual who got lost while surfboarding,
Mhm.
and the Apple Watch helped him track his way back home by either calling his son and just looking at the location map, and he was able to get back to his destination. And you didn't used to have these tools in previously. If someone got lost in the sea, they would have to be a lucky individual to find themselves back home.
Yeah, or like
That
they'd end up as a castaway, probably lost for like years if they're never
yeah,
found, if they're found.
yeah, and they'd be lucky to get found. Like, and that's a good word to use, castaway. So it's like, how would it's there's what Apple does in terms of groundbreaking technology like that.
Mhm.
That's what pivots the coming futures and its endeavors.
It's honestly amazing that Apple's been able to do that. And I think, I mean, like, there's a lot of great companies out there, but especially because Apple was, the most popular and the first one on the scene, they're really able to take the lead on things now.
Yep, that is true. That is right on point. What you mean about that? Because they've always been the one where everyone is always looking at what is a new update, what is the new iPhone going to look like.
Yeah.
Like the iPhone 11, the whole fact of you can now make short videos for classes or just films, like feature films on an iPhone to the places it can go is like out of the park. You could never see that before. And I think it's just become this whole thing that they've created this device where you can use it for multi-purpose for multiple reasons. Pretty much, it's like a multi-purpose
Yeah.
device at this point. So, yep,
God, it's like the world is at your fingertips with these devices.
yeah, that is definitely true.
And sometimes the sad thing is that even though we have the world at our fingertips, we still kind of use it for the wrong or maybe the dumbest reasons.
That is true. Yes, I mean sometimes you use it for like the social media
Hmm.
wise, or just getting the work done on like on an Apple device, or like a computer with the Windows software, or uh, Mac OS. So yeah, I get what you mean.
All right, so we're now at the segment of the show we like to call past, present, and future, where we're going to be exploring three different periods of your life and making some comparisons. So, how do you see yourself now? How does this compare to the person you were 5 years ago? And how do you think things are going to be for you in the next 5 years?
Okay, yeah. Let me start with the past and the present, and then come at
Mhm.
the no, sorry. Let me start with the past and the future, and then go with the present.
Okay.
So in the past, 5 years ago, the, the type of person I was kind of trying to find my way. I was a bit lost. I got really into the health and fitness mode where I was really trying to, my goals were much more different at that age.
Hmm.
Um, they might have been the learning curve ball, but I was very much on trying to create those, trying to at least make myself aware, or at least put myself on platforms and try to like break those monotonies, and just trying to evolve in circumstances where I can progress from that nature. And thankfully, I was able to do that in the school that I was at Nova, and that's what's helped me progress, and it's helped me become a better person because of that. And especially my neurotechnology center, it's a STEM academy where that's where my real testing of how much do I enjoy the learning part really came to implementation. The computer integrated engineering design, where we would work on like the SolidWorks, I mean, which is kind of like an older platform, or like SketchUp, and trying to see what do these industry professionals at least would used to work with, and how do they think in that mindset. And then taking my biggest risk at the end of the high school year, which is biotechnology, where I had a good sense of the biology world, but putting biotechnology and fusing it together was a whole different set of rules
Oh yeah.
I was envisioning at. And so I ended up doing much more successful in that class than I did in the CID. The class that you think you're gonna surprise everyone at, ends up being the one that you're like at the same level that everyone else is at. But the one where something that seems like a risk, like a biotechnology, or like a client, or like a relationship, or someone where it's like the frequencies is sometimes high or sometimes low, those are the ones that you learn a lot from. And if you're motivated, you want to take that as like a challenge, you end up doing extremely well because you don't know what to expect. In the other ones, you're like, I know this, I know this, I know this, I know I'm going to get this. And you never do. And so it's always the risks that have you shine as the candidate. I mean, if you know things beforehand, kudos to you. You've done your research. But, maybe if that's a field you want to go into, maybe your shining moment hasn't come. Maybe you need that risk factor to kick in. And I think that's something I was trying to learn when I was in my high school years. And even when I started my college, just trying to, I kind of was pursuing ideas when I started my journey at VCU, but also trying to get like kind of a a good feeling of the outside industry, and that it's not all about you, it's about the society. Because you get in school days, everything is about like talk about what is it about. Your story is important, but having the balance of how do you contribute to society is much more important. The future self, now for the next 5 years of my future presence, I think that's a good question. That I feel like I could see myself broadening my skill set and getting myself out there, and just kind of developing those relationships within the industry. Just trying to help a community perspective, and to see others do well. I where I mean, that this I should probably say for this for the present one, but just getting to know your audience and trying to take that at the pedestal, and that, just finding ways to take risks and not be so stuck on what you think is going to be right. Like, you see people like Steve Jobs, who they start their own company like Apple and get fired, create a Pixar, and then get hired back into Apple. And then you see someone like a Dwayne Johnson to the extreme, where they have $7 in their pocket after not getting into the NFL, and say that getting into the NFL was the best thing that ever happened, and being one of the highest paying actors and top wrestlers in the field. And so just knowing the unexpected, which is the right choice for you, is something that I want myself to see and be comfortable in. Because if you think you're going to be good in financial services, and you're not someone who kind of understands how the whole the loaning sector, the personal the mortgages, and how to manage how to give the financial independency to companies, then that might not be your field. Someone who researches about that topic, understands it, but says, that's not somewhere I want to go, that's the place they always go to, because that's what's meant for them to be in. And so if you're someone who talks about design or like the insurance industry, that's where you're going to go. The field that you think that you're going to be a part of, because you feel like that's what interests you, even though you might have some common knowledge or not, might not always be the best option for you. The one that you have some extra knowledge, you've thought about it, but you're not sure, and it's never been something that you've actually thought about, or like said, I could see myself in that zone. Those are the ones that faith and reality pick for you, because that's the places you excel. So kind of just being open to the unexpected, and not like so. I mean, it is great to work for a Google or Facebook and those top companies, but just being open to that. If you're someone who is always wanting to be on his toes, or like having to understand the entrepreneurship, or even starting your own company and just having that research insight, then giving yourself the pat on the back that even though I worked in small companies and startups, I've still learned a lot in my journey, versus big corporations, which is more in the management sector, and mid-sized companies, any profession you do, there's always a reason behind it. So now to come to the present self, I think just getting to know your community is something that I've kind of understood over these years, where if you can take your personal side and your professional side and put the community branch in the middle of both, you're kind of creating a good sense of how to project your voice within those domains. And so, whether it be my spirituality and the helping people in their career search, as whether they're unemployed or entry-level folks, and just trying to give them those practices to build upon, to understanding how does the industry work, and just being a part of that journey where you're hearing other people's insights from articles or just research. Those are the two commonalities that really build on the base foundation. So yeah, I think there's nothing better than that. And if I feel like it takes experience for you to evolve, because the best acronym I think the two best acronym I like to use is you can attract more honeys with bee than you can versus vinegar. And all of us, whether we're entry levels in the market, we're all young puppies just running around not knowing what to do. And so we want that wing to be under and guided, so that when we walk, we know where we're walking, or we can take that pivot or the risks when we're at 60. Because you wouldn't want to be sitting like a grumpy old man sitting on that chair and not excited about life, because there's something always exciting to do at every single stage. And I feel like the two biggest rules is, if you're humble and good enough to do the work and be kind to others, and not the total opposite of that, and just enjoy your journey while you can, you'll be better off enjoying the activities you like and growing in your professional career, versus folks are very um, who are very clear that this is only going to give me happiness on like a thing, or like certain product. So I feel like work hard, but be open to the unexpected. That is definitely what I'm gonna have to give as like the takeaway.
What I noticed about, like, as we went through each of the different periods that you had, it all revolved back around, like, not only that theme about, going for the unexpected, but going back to what you said earlier, where like the best choices are the ones you're not sure about. You gotta take that risk. And I think that's like the whole theme that you have, like really like taking a risk. You're only gonna live once, and you gotta make sure you pick the choices where you're going to grow and where
Yep.
you're going to be happy.
Yeah, and there are folks that, I mean, they've never taken a risk, and when they have to in college, it's like it either upsets them or it excites them, because it's like they don't know what to do. Like I've seen candidates where, when a college or university has a new program, people are like, why are you going to go on that? It's new. There's nothing great about it. And folks will be like, oh yeah, that is true. I should probably go to like an established one, like somewhere in like VTech or UVA, or um, like the Ivy Leagues, like Carnegie or Stanford, like kind of sitting in that batch.
Right.
But the ones who are like, no, when someone says that exact comment, their response is going to be exactly what you said. That's why I'm going, because it's a new program. There'll be new insights, and you'll be the first batch to show that we believed in this program. Because at the end of the day, it's not your university, your background, your ethnicity, who you are, what was your past life. It's, are you humble enough to get the work done? And do you have aspirations to yourself? And what are your goals? Those are the questions that define you. No one in the work industry is looking back at your whole report card and like saying, oh, you did this when you're at 7 years old. That doesn't mean you're a good candidate. No one, people have bad and good experiences. It's like a stock market. So you can't really judge. It's like you can't judge a book by its cover until you've actually read the content. So I think that's what I want to leave it at.
Do you like follow like Tim Robbins or Gary V and all those kind of people?
Tim Robbins, I have never heard of, but Gary Vee, yes, I've listened to a couple of his videos. So I think if there's any leaders that I look up to, even though I might not be at their total match, I think it would be my. I think at the top, it would definitely have to be Denzel Washington, and from the bottom down, it's going to be at like an Elon Musk and like a Dwayne Johnson, because these guys have taken the risks to get where they are. Yeah, they're from totally different industries, but it defines what they've done. And I mean, there's so many other people. Like you can take a Satya Nadella, or even I'm trying to remember the name of the CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai. All of those, they've taken the risk to get where they are, and I feel like they when they say something, yeah, people can take it in different meanings, but if I'm not sure if you've taken a listen to, but there's a commencement speech that Denzel Washington has given to the University of Pennsylvania in one of the years.
Nope, haven't
And
heard that one.
so what he said in that was, one, magical and right on point, and that all those things he said, that's so true. When he mentions the point about this is your step to fall forward, you know, unless you're falling forward, you're not growing outside your bubble. The ones who are falling back, you're not, it's, you're just, you might have some like skill development. You might be doing some extra things or like prospering from that perspective. But otherwise, you're not really going outside that comfort zone. So yeah, I think I'm gonna note that name, Tim Robbins. I
Actually,
never.
I might have gotten his names. I'm like blanking on it. I was like, I don't know why I was thinking of Tim Robbins. It might have been. Hold on, I'm gonna Google it for a second. Now it's like that guy. Hold on. What was his? It was Tony Robbins, I think.
Tony Robbins. Okay.
Yeah, that's him, Tony Robbins. He's like he gives like that same kind of advice like Gary Vee. This is one of those like influencers. I figured that like a lot of the stuff you're saying sounds very familiar to me. And it's like this is stuff that has resonated with like those kinds of people, and like other people I've met in my life. And it's so like these are like great, like even morning mantras to have, things to really embed into your life, really things that you wanna sort of values you want to hold close to you.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. So, um, yep, that the values that you hold against yourself, anything that you do, it all works out at the end. It's like I think the best analogy is there's when we all whatever step we're in, that next big thing, there's always a hurdle. We're always in the car going on several highways to find that destination so that we can take the next big step. And I think when we reach the step, that is our aha moment. But just to get there, that's the fun about it. We go from one highway, oh, we're going to this one, we're going to this one, trying to find how can we get to our destination. And then we just keep on going from there. When we're in a job and we feel like that's not the right fit for us, then we go on a whole highway search to find the next highway. And it's like a road of highways that we're always traveling on, and you just have to enjoy that ride.
That's so true. That's something my brother actually says. It's kind of like we spend all our lives trying to climb the mountain, get to the top, get there before other people. But when you get to the top of the mountain and then you see the view, now what? How much longer till you want to climb down and look for another mountain? Are you ever going to be satisfied, or are you just going to enjoy the journey and be thankful for what you have? Some people spend their lives chasing mountains, and then by the time they reach their death, it's, oh, did I do everything I wanted to do? I was just so busy chasing this. Did I see everything else? The flowers, the animals along the pathways, and all that.
Yeah. And the ones that have done both, they're the ones where you can ask personal advice, professional advice, and you look more as like a leader at that point.
Oh yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
because you've focused on the work, you've done your due diligence to create that skill set, but you've also had that group with you on the side. There are definitely going to be tough days. I think the good analogy for this is don't ever think it's fun going on Everest. Yes, at the top it is, but just to get there, there are so many, and I mean so many. There's so how do there are so many down moments to just getting to that final pinnacle, and there are shortcuts that you can take, but it's the risk factor again that we're going back to, that you know you just have to find the ways to get yourself there. And if that requires a bit of personal experience for a couple of years, so be it, because you don't know, those next 3 years you could be finding success in the product that you like building. So
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like it's almost like playing a video game in a sense. Some people like,
yep,
it's a whole experience that you want to play, to enjoy, to really immerse yourself in. And then some people will like speed run and just rush through the game, find like the easiest ways out. And then by the time you finish, did you really have fun? Did you really do what you wanted to do? And for a lot of people, and I think this is the sad thing, I've met a lot of like adults in my life, and a lot of them, the answer is no. They are
Yeah.
not happy. They didn't get to do what they want for this and this and this reason. There's regrets here and there, and that's it's not the way you really should live life. Like in life, there's a lot of gray, but I think in this sort of instance, there is a black and white here. Everyone wants to be happy.
Yeah. And I feel like the a lot of that's a good word you used, a lot the grays, when we get old, we obviously have those grays showing, but I would not I would actually not have a problem showing them off because one, that shows the amount of experience I've had. Two, that shows, you know, you see, you see the ones who are like, yeah, another day at work with the grays, and you see the ones who are like motivating other people at the age of 50 or 60, and you feel like if they can do it at that age, I can do it at the age of 25, So I feel like those, you want to be an example at any age as you can, whether you're retiring and you're finding ease at work and researching your ideas, your projects or whatnot. But whatever the moment is, just go with the flow and be happy with each step, because sometimes what you think, like I mentioned, is not always the best. It's not always the best fit for you. It's not always the best fit for you because
Yeah.
you might have not excelled at that in that industry. So, yep,
It's almost like sometimes our brain just like wants to look for things to be comfortable with. Kind of
yeah,
like, for example, like I used to have this like really bad problem where I was on Facebook or Instagram all the time. And
yeah.
I know I have better things to do, but my brain is like, hey, you're super comfy doing this. Go ahead, keep scrolling, look
They're
for that
like,
next video. And then by the time I know it's 1 a.m., I haven't finished my paper. And I was like, dang it, I should have just like gotten it over with. Like, I
but
didn't want to do the paper, but that's what I had to do, and that's what I needed to do in order to grow and to do better in whatever class I was in.
yeah, that is true. That is definitely true. So, yep.
Ooh, wow, we just went through like a whole like so many different like principles that you can live your life by. Actually, that's the next question. I would ask you, what principles do you live your life by? We've pretty much gone through a lot of them. Is there any specific one that you really like hold deep to your heart? Like that's the mantra that I have that I tell myself every morning I wake up.
Yeah, I mean, principle wise, I think I'm mostly keen towards mo think that there are three principles that I kind of stand up around.
Mm-hmm.
Do the best that you can within that day and picture yourself, what do you want to accomplish out of each certain day? And that's like the first discipline. Second, be persistent about what you want, because if you keep at it, it's like kind of like it's like it's kind of like saying, yeah, this is my shot, my next shot, like kind of continuously practicing to get better at your craft, or to just do, or just get your word out there, as to say. And the third thing is, be different. Don't, if someone is doing something versus versus another candidate, which is kind of portraying this up in like a different limelight, don't say that, I wish I could be in that type of spot. Just be like, okay, that I don't see it in that nature, but this is how I'd like to do it, because audiences like to see different material, because that's what makes you unique. And yeah, there might be shows that worked or didn't work, but as long as you're showing that difference, that's all that matters. That small 5%, um, that 5% change, or 10%, or how much you just you change within those years.
Yeah, well said. So in life, there's The world is spinning. We've got a lot of things going. Like we were going back to maybe like the other analogies we had, like going like that mountain, for example. We're
Right.
often like doing our best to climb that mountain, make that daily grind. We often forget about the things that are right around us. So what would you say you're grateful for in your life?
Yeah. I think I'm grateful for the fact that I'm living and breathing in a time like COVID. And just to get those phone and just to have a phone call from your mom or dad just ringing on your phone, whether you're staying with them or you're outside of the country, that's a blessing. People have lost their parents at a time like COVID, and that also one, two, even like a family, you could say. And so I feel like your family and those personal relationships, just having all of that at your deepest moments for when they come and help you get over those grieving days, those are the people that you should be grateful for at first moment. Yeah, your job and your skill sets are definitely something that you want to improve on and be grateful for doing well in, but those are the people that get you they get you by the day when things aren't going right, or when you encounter a problem, or you create that relationship, or like um, have those moments with each other. So that's one thing I'm definitely grateful for like the family and the contacts, the friends, people I've met, um, or I've been who've been a part of, who've understood me or gotten to know me over the years. And I think the last two things would be being able to just think and do your daily items, and just having the ability to explore the world around you. There are folks who have certain disabilities, and they're always striving to do more. And when I see them, that motivates me to do more for those folks. Folks that can't hear, or or being picked on for the fact that they have a certain problem, or they can't do something, or like they have a certain because of not being able to be on the screen so much, they have to do a lot of paperwork, or they think in a different mindset. I feel like those people, those are the ones that end up doing great things. Like, who knew Stevie Wonder would be one of the greatest musicians of all time while he
Right?
couldn't see? I mean, just because you have a disability doesn't mean you can't do anything. You know, Everyone at any size, age, weight, whatever you are, no one should judge you by your looks, but by your drive.
That's so true. Like self-reflection, just being able to make time for yourself, just meditation. We often forget about ourselves in like this crazy world. We're so focused on other things, from the news to social media to what other people are doing to like just everything. We forget about ourselves, and sometimes that leads into even bigger problems.
Yep, right on point. That it creates a whirlwind of other problems that stack upon each other, because there's always going to be work. There's always going to be problems. There's going to be disagreements. There's going to be miscommunications, and so you just have to be happy for that, because it's only making a better version of yourself.
Yeah, definitely. That's all so true. So now we've come to the question of the show where we get our title from. If you were to leave something in a time capsule for people to dig up 100 years later, what would you put in there and why?
That's a good question. So if I were to leave something in a time capsule for people to dig up, I think. Hmm,
Yeah,
create
this could be a
a
good one.
the creative confidence book. Mm, hmm.
The Creative Confidence book.
The creative confidence book. Trying to think what else.
Ooh, I've never heard of
My
this one.
my suits and like my professional attire, like the suit, tie, and shirts,
Mm-hmm.
my headphones. I'm gonna say two more things. What else would I put in a time capsule? Huh. I was about to say the Infinity Gauntlet, but that no, I don't have access to that. So, the last two things would be, uh, thank, yeah, the thank you cards that are dear and near to me that I've had stored away in myself and my purse. I'm sorry, not my purse, my wallet,
Yeah.
my wallet.
Oh yeah.
And I think my the two or three closest Lego sets that I have that I know at the top of my head. Like I made a White House one time, and
Ooh.
like a kind of it's like a Lego creator house, and some of the other and like the Baby Yoda, but also my degree and kind of my laptop, because reason I would put those in there is starting with the creative confidence book, and maybe a pod and maybe my portfolio with like the pod or like everything included. So reason I would say the creative confidence book is because that book is literally what keeps me going. You know, that book is one created by the IDEO founders who I really want to meet one day. And just how they have a broad skill of experience that have got them to creating a company like IDEO, and just having a good sense of the business and how to put design in the implementation, and how technology is so friendly to creating a better life for someone. You know, that's one thing that I feel like I would put in a time capsule, because that would kind of be like 25% of my life in there already. Um, I'm trying to remember what were the other things I said.
I think you said a suit. I think when
Yeah,
you
yeah, 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 yeah. My professional attire. Reason I'd say professional attire is every meeting, every any company meetings or whatever I've attended, I'm always going to be in that suit, and I feel like to have that in there is going to have those experiences where I've got to put myself out in front of my team for like a successful pitch, or put myself out on a client, and just feeling those aha moments and kind of getting me through my professional career. And I think that is something I would definitely put. And that also every like all of the students, because that would show that every day having the discipline to get ready and be in this attire to put my best foot forward. Um, um, what and I know I said like the Lego sets and the degree in the computer. I think reason for that is that Lego set kind of shows what has my history been in terms of what have been those small breaks that have helped me to get over those difficult moments, to kind of engineer myself in creating a small little thing that I bought for like 50 to 60 bucks, you know, or like even just a huge Lego set for like 10 bucks, and just building and innovating and kind of going outside of the box. Because a lot of the times, I don't know if you know, but Legos help build creative innovation, and let the person think of the best ideas. And some of the best ideas have never been in the office. It's been on your personal time, on a computer, on a walk, just automatically like, oh, we need to do this. You know, those are where the best ideas come from. Just talking to someone, or, you know, just sitting and thinking about, you know, maybe I could see this happening. And so just showing that mindset in terms of achievement, my degree, so that I can show what I've accomplished, and that how my high school, the Monroe Academy, and, you know, the VCU years have really helped me to shape how the education has really shaped me to be the person I am today. And the computer is, those late nights when I'm writing when I'm writing my essay up, or, doing a Zoom call with like a friend or whatever it be, just how it helped me to do those quickly and efficiently in the time I was in. And then my portfolio, I think, is so that people can see what I've done, how I've let the unexpected be the expected version of myself in front of the audience, and just taking that at hand and putting and just driving it to its fullest potential. And I know I covered like 4 or 5, but I know there was some other ones after the professional suit.
I think the last one was the thank you notes, I think.
Oh yeah, the thank you notes would be because those thank you notes, those memories you've had, and even photos, like really close photos, those, when you see that visual, like that one photo frame, I mean, a video takes you back in time, but a photo, like I said, is 1,000 words. And that thank you note is like the words describing that visual that you're time lapsing back to. And I think those two together is going to show people that what I've gone through to get myself where I was, or how the journey ended, and how it started. So those are definitely the possessions I've put in there.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff, and that's really like well thought out.
Yeah, and I mean that would definitely be a heavy that would definitely be a heavy chest for someone to pull that up. So, yeah.
All right. So do you have do you have any final words of advice for our viewers out there? Anything that you wanna, like a last piece of wisdom that you wanna impart with everyone?
Yeah, I think striving for more is definitely something that helps you keep those passions up. But doing the wrong thing in the best manner, and finding ways to improve yourself on that road of excitement, just walking the path of not knowing what you're going to face, what's going to come in front of your way. Because if you already know that, you're already going to avoid those circumstances and find the shortcut to that. And I think just taking what's at hand and putting your best work forward towards it. And life is definitely a stock market. I like to say, you have ups, you have extremely down, you have really bad days, which are like the downsides, and the really positive days, which are like striking through the roof and people just talking about it. No one talks about anyone's failures. And I think that's what helps us get to the positive moments. Elon Musk is definitely a good example for that. SpaceX before that was so written off by people, like the 60 seconds and everyone around them. And even the two biggest astronauts, like Neil Armstrong and the second person to go on the moon, said, it doesn't look like something. SpaceX is definitely a company that doesn't know how to pivot the space and aviation industry. And now you see them doing such big things where they're using technology at their hands to get folks from space to home at a very quick speed within a day. And so now everyone is running after them. I feel like you shouldn't worry about that. I'm going to be this and people are going to run after me. Yeah, I mean, everyone wants that. But if you're good at your skill and you're humble enough to teach those young learners and just be giving and humble, I think that definitely takes a long way. That is, people want to talk to good people. You do not want to have you want to have some spice in that, in the bowl of pasta or your main course of dish, but you don't want someone just ruining and taking it all out. for the folks that are like really hard to get along with. So I think that would be my best piece of advice.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so where can people find and follow you on social media? I know you have a LinkedIn profile. How do people find you on there?
So yeah, you can just type my name, Himanish Goel, and I think you'll easily find me. I'm in like a um, blue suit, light blue suit, my first suit that I bought. And you can follow me on LinkedIn. You can follow me on Instagram, where in my 3G photos and videos page. You can follow me on Facebook, for like both my photography page and personal side. But
Oh,
yeah,
you do photography.
I used to do it in the beginning, when I started college, and it started becoming less relevant around 2020.
Uh,
But yeah, it's been some time. So
okay. Well, yeah, definitely. Like everyone, you are such a golden nugget for all these like wisdom and advice and all this. So definitely, everyone, you should definitely follow him and Ish. All right. Well, him and Ish, thanks so much for being a part of our time capsule. Thank you to all our viewers for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Tune in again next week to meet another amazing addition to our time capsule.